Hello, welcome again. Today I thought I'd show you a little bit more of my kitchen setup. It's nothing special, but I just wanted to show off my baby's breath. I've had that there for like 3 months now and I don't want to get rid of it. They've died and dried out already, so they're just there. But when I watched the movie Sinners, which I did a review on here, I was talking about how beautifully they portrayed the continued love, connection, nurturing and parenting of a baby who has passed away. Like in that movie, they do it so brilliantly, like this continued love. Someone pointed out that in the last scene, Annie has a crown that is baby's breath flowers, and I didn't even know. I'm not big on flowers, like I don't know flowers like that. And this person was sort of commenting on the fact that Annie, is such attention to detail that when she's now crossed over to the other side and she's finally got her baby in her arms and able to take care of her daughter, she's got the baby's breath crown, and I just thought that is so brilliant. So today's video is a continuation of the other video where I was doing the 5 books to bring comfort for grieving hearts. Now, the last one I did, I kind of actually went into a bit more detail about the book. This one, I thought I'm just going to name the 5 books and do like an overview, also because I'm still currently reading, and others of them I actually only read 1 page because I only bought it for 1 page. So I'll go in the order of how I've read them and talk about how what they brought to me. Okay, so Moving Beyond was the first book I ever read, and I actually spoke about that already, so there's another video that I will link below somewhere that you can watch if you want to watch this one. Incredible book. I think this was the one that definitely gave me the guide, almost like the baby steps of like what is intuition, even though like you know what your intuition is, like everyone knows their womb feeling or their gut feeling. You know when something is off, like it's your antenna, like you know that, but we choose to ignore it a lot of the times. A lot of us live our lives ignoring our intuition, and that's when things go wrong. I recently wrote on Substack the reading that I had with the medium after Myla died, and I was reading my notes on there, and one of the things that I said was that the day that everything went left, which I believe was because of a family argument in a party, I wrote, I already knew something was going to go wrong, so I wanted to leave the party. That's what I wrote. Obviously, I didn't know that my daughter was going to die. Like that's the extreme thing, but I knew that there was going to be like an altercation, like a little family kerfuffle, so that caused a lot of tension throughout. So yeah, I didn't listen to my intuition. My intuition was let's get out. I didn't get out. So that's this book. Then after I read that book, I went to Waterstones, where I live. Waterstones here in the UK is basically a bookstore where they sell books. It used to be my favourite shop of all time when I was a young kid. Like, I'm such a book nerd. Unfortunately, like, as of late, I haven't been able to read as much. I think when my daughter died was probably the last time after leaving, let's say, after 20, I think the last time that I was reading heavily was probably around 2019. And then my daughter died in 2022, so 2023 was when I was reading heavily because I wanted to soak in everything I could when it came to spirituality. So then I actually wanted a book on spirituality and baby loss, like what does spirit say about babies dying, and I couldn't find anything, and that is why I want to write that book, and it's going to be based on my experience and the things that I'm learning as I go along. So then the next best thing that I found was in Waterstones, and it was this book. It's called The Psychic's Bible. Now, this book is basically just a little dictionary about the different ways to tap into your psychic ability, into your intuition. I read it back to front, and I find it really interesting actually that it speaks a lot about things like our chakras. It talks about our aura. It talks about in different cultures and in different countries how they tap into their inner self. And if you think about it, like, our inner self is that voice that guides us, that if you go back in history and you think about, like, how did people know, like, how did, what's his name, Isaac Newton knew, how did he know gravity, like, how did he knew is not a word, sorry, how did he know to make sense of that? And it's like, as you're discovering things, like when we study a lot and you're discovering things, whatever it is your field that you do, there's always like a thing that clicks, this knowing that you don't actually know 100% in terms of, like, it's not been written before, it's not been a fact that you've seen before, it's not evidenced yet. And then you do the evidence to prove this lightning bolt that went into your brain. So I think intuition is being able to tap into that. Like, we all have our creativity and we all are able to find our answers in things. So it talks about the different states of mind. It talks about our dreams, what lessons can we learn from our dreams, the importance of writing our dreams down. It talks about, like, giving healing to people, healing yourself, breathing, all these different exercises that you can do to just tap into your higher self. It also talks about, like, automatic writing, intuitive writing, look, that kind of stuff. I actually doggy marked it, and yeah, it basically just gives you some exercises to do in order to tap into yourself. And how do you get into that? There was an intuitive writing, automatic writing thing that I saw where it's like, use the hand that is less dominant, so that way whatever you write isn't dominated by what you're thinking. Eventually, like, in the beginning, it really pretty much feels like it's just what you're thinking, it's just your thoughts, but eventually it does start to lead into a different thing. I haven't tried using my left arm, so I think that's something that I'm going to do today, actually, when I'm able to. It actually talks about doing automatic writing on the laptop as well. In my other video I was talking about it's better to just do it with a pen and paper. I still think so. Talks about tarot reading, crystal balls and things like that. The Qing, which I think are Chinese coins. You ask a question and then, like, you throw it, whatever side it drops on is like your answer. So yeah, and now it looks at this as well, sorry, the runes, which are Odin, so some sort of Nordic type people, I think, if I'm not wrong. Now, as I'm looking back at this book, and it's something that I've always known growing up, and I actually made a short on this, is this book looks at all the different kinds of ways to tap into our, you know, intuition, psychic abilities and stuff like that. And it actually looks at all different cultures. It goes from, like, how did the Europeans do it at a point, and how did the Asian, South Asian, East Asian, how did those people each tap into their inner selves, right? All spirituality is, it's not all it is, I don't want to simplify it, but it really is just tapping into your ancestors and listening to yourself and being guided in a way by your culture, right? It's not like a set of rules and regulations, a bit like how religion is, where it's like, oh, if you don't do this, you're a bad person, da, da, da. It's not like that. Like, you just, each day is a learning day. Each day you're living your life guided by love and light, and finding ways to connect with yourself, as well as supporting those around you and extending that love to other people around you. And something that I've been thinking about is, like, nothing here touches on African culture, African rituals, African spirituality. And this is something that I've grown up knowing, is that African spirituality, obviously there's different types of African spirituality depending on where in Africa we're looking at. There are so many different nations that make up the continent, but in general, it's a general consensus that it is demonized, it is villainized, it is supposedly the worst thing to happen, and it's just bad and evil and witchcraft and all these kind of connotations with it. I was watching an incredible video by a South African doctor. I need to get her name right, so I'm gonna write it down. And she was sort of talking about how, you know, when it comes to African spirituality, that, like, for example, there's words that they will call someone who practices it. One of the words in their language, in their dialect, is healer. It means healer, which, if you know and you practice Reiki, like, it's called healing. But it has been translated in the English language as witch, a witch doctor. Like, and the connotations that witchcraft has as well, right? It's just terrible connotations, negativity. So anything to do with like the divine feminine, women coming into their power, is considered witchcraft. So much so that biblically, any woman who was said to do things differently was considered a witch, and she was murdered. And I've just recently come across the hypocrisy that I already knew that comes with the Bible, for example, with King James Version. You know, like, being gay, for example, was considered bad, still is considered bad, and you were murdered for it. Meanwhile, there are countless accounts of that prove that he himself, King James, was gay. There are letters from him to men who he called his favorites. His bed, like, he shared his bed with them. He called them his wife. There was public displays of affection that people of the time described seeing happening, you know. It's just the hypocrisy. So yeah, for me, it's very sad that African spirituality and what it can offer, what it can give, has been completely erased, and it's not even considered in any way. So that's the sad thing. But this was one of the books that I read, just to understand the different ways people tap into their intuition. Then I got this book. Look how big this monster is. It is a fat book. It has exactly how many pages? Let's see. 669 pages. It is a fat book. Guys, when I tell you, I got this book because, again, I was looking online for baby loss, stillbirth and spirituality, and I found this one blog, and I think it was like from 2006, if I'm not wrong, or at least not the late 2020s, not the maybe the 2010s, early 2010s. And it was somebody who, like, put together just one page about what happens when a baby is stillborn, and then they quoted this book. Now, where they quoted this book, I was like, immediately, I need to buy this book. It's called The Life Beyond the Veil, and I said I need to buy it immediately. But I bought it simply just to read that one page where it quotes this, because it related with me. So I haven't read the book for anything else. I don't know if I will, but this is why I got it. Stillborn Children. This is page 529. So this book is actually done through automatic writing, where the author is receiving messages from spirit and getting answers to certain questions. So the question on stillborn children is what really struck me, because it spoke about the need for a continued relationship, so that when we do pass, then our children can recognize and come to us. And I will read it. So this is an extract that was written February 1918, February the 22nd, which I think is the same date that I had my reading with the medium. Or did I have it February the 23rd? Anyways, that's just an interesting connection. So I want to make sure that I'm reading the bit that applies. Essentially, I'm going to do an overview and then I'm going to read it just to see if I can connect it. But this part of the book talks about how stillborn children who, you know, they go on to spirit, they are going to be learning and being brought up there. right? They're going to live there and learn there. They won't learn from here, obviously, because they're not here. But for the parents who continue that connection with their children in whatever way it is, whatever they do, it doesn't have to be massive things, it doesn't have to be an everyday thing, but if you continue to nurture that relationship, when you yourself go as a parent, your child is more likely to recognize and remember you and come to you. They often say that when we pass away, our relatives come to us, we are connected with our people. And so you know, nurturing this relationship with Myla, because we weren't able to have that in the real world, is going to mean that when I go, she will remember me, she'll know me. So let me just see if I can read it. The earthborn are mellowed in sweetness, and the others are strengthened in character. And both being included in community, infuse an element of variety which is pleasurable as it is of profit. You will see, my son, by what I have but now told you, how great is the responsibility of earthly parents to their offspring in these realms, for association with them is necessary to the true development of the earthborn children also. So what I'm getting out of this is that my development and relationship with my daughter is also good for my son to see in relation to just spiritual development. It is not adequate. It is not an adequate life they lead if they are not kept in touch with their kin on earth. There is a hiatus which no one else can fill. And where the parents are of evil life, it is necessary that their spirit children be held aloof from their company for many years of earth time, until they be grown and of such strength of will and quality of wisdom that they may help the guardians of those in their watch over them for their well-being. And most often, this development is not sufficiently advanced that it be safe to expose the child to earth influences before the time of earth probation is over and the parent is called away to these realms in the spirit. So for any parent who's like of evil life, it is better to not have a connection. That's what I'm understanding. In such cases, the only help the child can give is that of prayer. Such a parent comes over here either with no affection for the child she has suckled at her breast, or else with no knowledge that the child exists at all. So the link between them, weak at best, grows weaker still as the child progresses upward. And by the time she had again ascended to the sphere where the child had awaited her coming all her earth life through, he has gone onward into an upward realm and is out of reach of her. He may be cognizant of her and send her of his help unknown to her, but the link of warm love, which should be about parent and child to bind them heart to heart, is not and never can be in ordinary progress of heavenly life, because we have noted so much disregard among you of the burden of motherhood in the matter of which I speak. And yet these sweet flowers, plucked before the bud, be open fully to life's sunlight, be so beautiful, and their wistfulness at the lack of own parentage so marked, it fills one with great distress to see it so. Not that they may be in any ways unhappy, we would not permit that to be, but there is a lack, as I say, and it is only partly supplied by those dear mothers who lacked the achieving of motherhood on earth and find it here. So each, you will note, make gift to the other of what the other lacks and receives what is wanting in return. And it is very beautiful to see. The sad thing that is like the weakening of that bond for those who don't continue that relationship because they think they can't. And also for the parents who live not a good life in terms of like they're not doing good to other people in the world, then it's better to not have any connection with their children, because their children, when you go into spirit, you're ascending into a higher sense of goodness that, I mean, it's not good to be connected with people that aren't. Now, the last book is Signs by Laura Lynn Jackson. This is a classic when it comes to grief. A lot of grievers, particularly, I know a lot of the Lost Mom community read this book. and it's an amazing book. Unfortunately, it's one of the books that I picked up this year and I'm struggling to read it. In fact, I've only managed to get as far as page 29. I know that it's incredible. I've heard such great things. So if anyone is reading, has read it, please do comment on the messages below, on the comments below. It would be lovely to unpack it. I would love to read it. I want to read it. I think I might end up having to audiobook it because I just am finding it so hard to read at the moment. But what I have read so far of that book has been amazing, and there's an incredible poem that I think I'd like to finish off with that is in this book. Right, I just realised I missed the 5th book, which is this book. It's The Philosophy of Spiritism. So I found out about Spiritism. I mentioned it on another video when I was driving to go get my hair done, and I looked to the side and I noticed that there was a Spiritist church. I had never seen this word before. I didn't know what Spiritism is, and then I found out that it's this massive thing that people do believe, and essentially it's like a mix between science and religion and something else. Sorry, I always forget to just get the details on that. Okay, I just checked, it's philosophy. Okay, so a mix on all of those three. And then I found out that there was the Spiritist church. Like, I googled Spiritism, I found that there's a list of churches across the UK and that you can join their Spiritualist National Union so that you can get a bit more insight. And when I joined the Spiritist Nationalist Union, I received this book, which is The Philosophy of Spiritism, and it essentially just goes into detail of the kinds of things that they believe. So it goes, so these are the 7 principles of Spiritism. It's the fatherhood of God, the brotherhood of man, the communion of spirits and the ministry of angels, the continuous existence of the human soul, personal responsibility, compensation and retribution hereafter for all the good and the evil deeds done on earth, and the eternal progress eternal progress open to every human soul. Now, I felt like it was really good for me to do this. It gave me like the ground rules or the ground knowledge around Spiritism. However, what I started to notice as I am evolving is that I don't need, okay, I think what I was thinking I needed was like a leader. I need someone to guide me, tell me what to do, because that's how we grow up knowing religion, right? You're supposed to follow, you know, whether it's a priest or a pastor, someone, you're supposed to follow someone who's supposed to guide you. Not to say that you can't have those people to guide you, but really and truly the answer is always within you. You ask yourself, you reflect on yourself, you take responsibility upon yourself and the things that your actions and your choices in the world, and you reflect and you get the answers, right? You just learn as you grow. You're not supposed to have this hierarchy of somebody telling you what to do. You can absolutely be guided by somebody. You can learn by other people. That is what we're on this earth to do, but it shouldn't be like master, do you know? That is not what that is about. And even in Spiritism, I learned that because there wasn't really anyone that you looked to. That is supposed to be the person telling you what to do and stuff like that. However, even with their the wording of things, okay, so with God, they're mostly talking about the universe, nature. It's whatever word that fits right with you, right? There's no like, this is God. It's not a male entity. It's not a human form, as we might believe. But the wordings, again, like the fatherhood, why is it always masculine? The brotherhood, why is it always male? Not to say that there's anything wrong with that. Well, kind of because it's like it's always centered around men and patriarchy and the way we view the world, to the point where it's written in this way. But the idea is there. So the fatherhood of God is ideally seeing God, the universe, nature, as somebody of authority and somebody that we should respect, not somebody we should fear. And the brotherhood of man is supposed to be the familiarity, like we're supposed to be family. They could have used a better wording, like the familial, I don't know, the connection of man, or the not man, sorry, the connection, the family connection of the people. I don't know, do you know what I mean? Ideally they're trying to say that we are a community, that we are family, that we are kin, and we should treat each other like that. So yeah, that's this one. I thought it was really good still. Like, I read it through and through. It gave me what I needed. It gave me the basics, and it did what it needed to do. So let's go. Death is nothing at all. Death is nothing at all. It does not count. I have only slipped away into the next room. Nothing has happened. Everything remains exactly as it was. I am I and you are you. And the old life that we lived so fondly together is untouched, unchanged. Whatever we were to each other, that we still are. Call me by the old familiar name. Speak of me in the easy way which you always used. Put no difference into your tone. Wear no forced air of solemnity or sorrow. Laugh as you always laughed at the little jokes that we enjoyed together. Play, smile, think of me, pray for me. Let my name be ever the household word that it always was. Let it be spoken without an effort, without the ghost of a shadow upon it. Life means all that it ever meant. It is the same as it ever was. There is absolute and unbroken continuity. What is this death but a negligible accident? Why should I be out of mind because I am out of sight? I am but waiting for you for an interval somewhere very near, just round the corner. All is well. Nothing is hurt. Nothing is lost. One brief moment and all will be as it was before. How we shall laugh at the trouble of parting when we meet again. By Henry Scott Holland. So guys, I'll leave it with that. Thank you so much for watching. Please do subscribe. Follow along on this journey as I write my own book, as I talk about the different things that come to my mind in this journey that I'm on. And do comment below. It's always lovely to hear from you. Thank you. Bye.